You have drafted preliminary, principal, miscellaneous. Now the final provisions give you the opportunity to make sure that that law you are drafting harmonizes with all the laws, existing laws before them, because every law has the capacity to affect existing laws, either to amend it consequentially or to repeal some existing laws. So in Rivers State, for example, the last time I checked, 2023, they had 134 laws of Rivers State of Nigeria. The federal government had 552 laws as at 2004. However, from 2004 till date, you have over 344 laws. So put together, you have the federal government has up to not up to 1,000 laws, maybe 800 thereabouts. So whenever you're drafting a new law, your task as a lawyer, you have to look at those 800 laws of the federal government to make sure that this new law does not affect those 800 laws. You also have to look at, if you're drafting for Rivers State, you have to look at the 134 laws of Rivers State to make sure that none of them is affected by the new law. If they're affected, then you have to deal with transitional, transitional provision, savings, transitional provision, consequential amendments, repeals, and then schedules. These are the parts of the final provisions. So that's the recap we can do for you for joining us today. So as usual, today we want to hear practical from real life legislation. Give us the part of real life legislation that deals with savings, transitional, consequential amendments, and repeals. Please, we want to hear from those who can give us. So let's start with Ajulo Emmanuel. If you have Ajulo Emmanuel, I'm going by alphabetical order. That's why. Ajulo Emmanuel, give us an example of savings inside a real life legislation. Yes, Oscar, you're the next. No, no, don't use section. Look for another law, Oscar. Okay. Next on the line is Charles. You just joined us. Yes, Charles. From a legislation, can you read the savings provision or the transitional?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I was in town. I'm in a noisy place. I'm sorry.
Okay. So look for any legislation and read to us the savings provision.
Oh, I look for any legislation.
Yes.
Okay, let me just do that. I have with me the Administration of Estate and Inheritance Act of 2024. So let
Okay.
me go there.
So the
Sorry.
savings is transitional.
Let me see. Yeah, we have I should read transitional clause.
Is there
Transitional
any savings? Is
provision.
there any savings?
No, we have transitional provisions. Yes, transitional provisions, savings, and repeals.
Good. Read the savings. Let's hear how it goes.
The savings. I don't see any savings here because we have that clause. It's clause 116. Any law that contravenes provisions of this act, the following laws are repealed. So those laws are listed there. Then
No,
we have
that's repeals. What are the savings?
I don't see savings here. That's the problem. I don't see savings here.
Okay, read this transitional. Let's see.
Okay. The heading is transitional provisions, savings, and repeals, which is section 116. Subsection 1 says any law that contravenes of this provision. And then they leave it like that. I don't know. The following laws are repealed, which is subsection 2 of that section. The wills or ordinance of 1843, the laws of inheritance 1873, the administration of estate act of 1935, the remuneration of executors 1946, and intestate succession act of 1953.
Okay.
These are transitional process. Maybe I can have another one. This one is poorly written, I can tell you. I don't know.
Okay.
Then we have now, when this thing continues, we have regulations now, which is clause 117.
Okay.
The heading is regulations, yes. Okay. Should I continue?
No, you have read it. So,
yes.
How many laws were repealed?
Yeah, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. All right. Somebody else. Thank you. That was good. Somebody else. After Charles on the list is Honorable Kolade. Can you share with us? Any law, you read the final provisions, the savings and the transitional.
Yeah, I thank you, Prof. I think I have the News Agency of Nigerian Act here.
Okay.
And of course, I tried to run through it to see whether I can check for the final provision. What comes to my mind here, there's looking like it because there is no in this act, but I see something very close to it, which is about section 16 of the News Agency Act of Nigeria.
Okay.
Section 16. And this, it reads thus: upon, that is vesting of certain assets in the board, upon the commencement of this act, all monies or other assets, if any, in the custody or control of any person by virtue of any authority whatsoever given to or received by such person for on behalf of the agency in anticipation of the commencement of this act, together with interest, if any, accrued thereon, shall be deemed to form part of the income of the agency and shall be transferred to and be vested in the board. I felt that is transitional enough.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But the placement, why they will go and put it in the middle there? How many sections is it?
No, actually, the whole of the section of this act is 18.
Okay,
And
so it's
this
the
is,
final provision. So
yes, it's about the final provision.
good, good.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's good. Uh, Ita Beleng, can you share with us any law? You can read the final provisions.
I'm looking at the High Court Civil Litigation Rules of 2024.
No, we need primary legislation.
Or
Those,
primary.
yes, that's subsidiary legislation.
I don't have anything next to me now. I thought we were just looking at any law, not primary law.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll come back to you. Oscar, you
But
already
tell
yes.
me before we leave that, this rules, what would be the mother law? Because it is the only source, it's the primary source of how the court for the court processes.
Okay, so there must be a High Court Act.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Check your law index. There may be a High Court Act.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted, that's why I thought this was primary.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, Oscar. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Okay. So what's the period of, is there any period of transition there? Mm. Okay, 6 months. Okay. So that's very good because it specifies a period of transition. It is. Mm, good. So which because the Electricity Act, there's one of 2004, 2003. Ah, okay. I remember that period. The law firm I was working, they were involved in that. All right. Okay. All right. That's a wonderful one. Okay. Next, after it, let's see. You're next.
Thank you, Prof. I'm looking at Section 80 of our Pension Fund Act 2019.
2019. Okay.
It reads as follows. No person shall carry on the business of a fund that is in existence at the commencement of this act for a period of 6 months after such commencement, unless that business is registered as a fund in terms of this act.
Good. How many months mentioned?
6 months.
Okay.
So
That's
that's the only that's
very, very well drafted. Now, under this pension law, I think it's contributory pension. Okay. All right. Next on the line is Madam Uren. Can you share with us any legislation, the final provisions? Madam Uren. Okay, she's not there. Masupa, can you share with us? Okay. Masupa, any law? Yes.
Prof, can you hear me?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I just settled, so I didn't have access to the legislation.
Okay.
Can I go at the end, please?
Can you go?
Can I come at the end of this?
Maybe I can rescue my friend. I can rescue Mr.
Problem.
Masupa.
You would
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. The technology, man. So very amazing. Okay. I have with me the which one? I'm sorry, this one is online. This one.
Mm-hmm.
So I have
What?
some.
Which law?
Let me see. I'm sorry. This one is Occupational Safety and Health Act of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at Section 79. I
Okay.
think this one is better compared to that one.
Okay.
I'm just scrolling down to that section.
Okay.
Okay. Section 79. Sorry. Sorry, I'm just almost there.
Okay.
70, 71. This one is better compared to that, to the other one.
So read the final provision.
Yeah, the heading is savings and transitional provisions.
Okay.
An institution, body, or individual established, elected, or appointed under the repealed Part 4, Section 46, and the 6th schedule of the Labor Code Order of 1992 continues to be established, elected, or appointed as such under and for purposes of this Act, as if established, elected, or appointed under this Act, on the same terms and conditions, except as otherwise provided under this Act.
Okay.
That's subsection 1. Subsection 2, an institute, body, or individual established, elected, or appointed under the repealed Part 7, which is Roman figure 2, Roman figure V, I don't know, that's 7. Let me just say 7. Section 46 and the 6th schedule of the Labor Code 1992 and required by this Act to perform or act or omission shall, within 6 months of the coming into operation of this Act, unless expressly provided, otherwise comply with the provisions of this Act. So there is another heading there, which is repeal, which is section 8 now.
No, the under the savings, is there a transitional after the savings?
Maybe we are going for transitional. Let me see. No transitional. I think that one, the heading there is savings and transitional provisions.
Okay.
Yeah, the heading, the heading just before section 79. It's savings and transitional provisions. So now we are on repeal, which is section 8.
Okay.
Which is part 7, section 46, and its 6 schedules of the Labor Code Order are hereby repealed. I think this one is better compared to that one of administration of estates and inheritance. I think this one is better.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's well drafted.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. In this law, there's no period of transition, but there's it says something about people who were under the repeal. They are now in this new arrangement.
Yes, subsection 1, yes. They are just now in, they did not even provide time. But subsection 2, it actually gives 6 months.
So that's how it works. Sometimes there's a timeline, sometimes there's not.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, bro. Yeah.
Well done. So, Masupa, we go back to you. You were saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Prof. I just settled. So, but I was in the middle of searching an act that I could refer to.
Okay.
I am looking at the Lesotho local government. Is it an amendment act? Yes, of 1997.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm looking at the repeal section. I think it's very interesting.
Okay. What does it say?
That is section 85.1. It says the act set out in the third schedule are repealed. So it has a list of acts in the third schedule. So
how many?
Yo, I'm reading a soft copy, Prof. So it will. I'll go back to it.
Okay.
Yes. So here's one of the most interesting provisions I've ever seen. It says, notwithstanding the repeal of any of the acts set out in third schedule, all rules, regulations, orders, or proclamations which are in force at the time of the commencement of this act and made under the repealed act shall continue in force as if they have been made under the provisions of this act. And all such rules, regulations, orders, proclamations may be varied, amended, or replaced by provisions of this act.
Yes, somebody read that kind of thing in the law, and we said something about it. Who can remember this style of drafting? We mentioned something about it. So it's like a practice in Lesotho. All it's called omnibus drafting. All laws, subsidiary legislation, regulations made under this previous acts is hereby repealed. That style of drafting is called omnibus because omnibus means something that covers everything without listing the specific regulations or acts made pursuant to that. And we said it's not a very good way of drafting. So can somebody take out another?
Okay, sorry, Prof. There's you asked me about the number of acts that have been repealed. So I think they could still include it there, in the section because there's only 6. Because you said you create a schedule when there's more than 10 laws. Thank you.
Here, how many?
We have 6.
Okay. And
Yes,
they created a schedule for it.
and they created a schedule for only 6 acts.
So the schedule is in schedule what of the act section?
It's third schedule, and it's provided for by section 85 1, I suppose. I'm just going back to verify. Yes, it's section 85 1. It says this: the acts set out in the third schedule are repealed. So there appears only six acts in the schedule.
Okay,
Yes, bro.
that's good. Uh, I think every jurisdiction have their own. Okay, that's good. Okay, so next after Masupa, somebody has not spoken. Um, Peter Beleng, you said you'll come back to us. Yes. Nadum, you're raising your hand.
Yes, sir.
Yes, go
Yes,
ahead.
go ahead. Okay, I just want to refer us to sections 15, 315,
Mm,
316, and 317 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so saving legislations, and then section 16, section 316 is a transitional legislation. I don't know if I can read them.
Yes,
Yes,
read.
read. Okay, 315 reads Sub 1. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, an existing law shall have effect with such modification as may be necessary to bring it into conformity with the provisions of this Constitution, and shall be deemed to be an act of the National Assembly to the extent that it is a law with respect to any matter on which the National Assembly is empowered by this Constitution to make laws, and a law made by a
Yes,
House of Assembly. Hello?
go ahead.
Okay. And a law made by a House of Assembly to the extent that it is a law with respect to any matter to which the House of Assembly is empowered by this Constitution to make Can you hear me, please? Hello?
Your line was breaking.
Yeah. Um, okay, so I just wanted to go over to,
No, you know what? The
yeah,
constitution is a different legislation. Let's not use it. The rules of drafting the constitution are a bit different from drafting other laws. So
okay,
leave it.
a repeat act, the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 repealed the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 1990.
Good, good. So read the section. That's
Section 3,
section.
Section 869
Good.
of the
How
Company.
worded?
Okay, subject to the provisions of this section, the Companies and Allied Matters Act 1990, the Companies and Allied Matters Amendment Act 1990, the Companies and Allied Matters Act 1991, the Companies and Allied Matters Act Amendment Act 1992, and the Companies and Allied Matters Act Amendment Act 1998 are on the commencement of this act repealed.
Good. So that's another style of drafting. On the commencement of this act, those laws are repealed. That's good.
Then
Check it.
another amendment act will be the Evidence Act 2023.
So that
That,
is called consequential amendments. So
yes, sir.
read how they wrote it.
I should read it out.
Yes, under consequential amendments.
Okay. The Evidence Act number 18 to 2011, in this act referred to as a principal act, is amended as set out in this act. Then it went on to amend section 84. Section 84 of the principal act is amended as follows. In
Good.
subsection 2, by inserting after the word document the word or electronic records. So it continues like that.
How many consequential amendments are in that? Can you count?
I, it's something I may have to take my time to look at.
Okay.
Let me
No
see.
problem. But that's the idea. That's how it works. So all that
Okay.
is part of the final provision. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other person? Any questions? Adedigba Babatunde, you just joined us. Do you know what we are doing? We are looking at the final provisions of existing laws. Can you reach out to any law and identify the final provisions? Adedigba Babatunde, can you hear us? Okay. All right. So, Madam Uren, you are ready for us now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, I
Good.
have the Plateau State Penal Code Law,
Go ahead.
Section 397 provides for repealing, while Section 398 is the saving and transition clause provision. So let me go ahead and read, sir.
Yes, read the savings and transitional. Let me see.
It's all right. That's Section 398. Notwithstanding the provision of Section 397, any act which is any act which is an offense established under the Penal Code Law or Cal 89, Laws of Northern Nigeria 1963, and in which respect the prosecution is still pending in any court, is hereby saved and shall continue to be until the final determination of such case.
Excellent. Excellent. That's another good one. So the prosecution shall continue until it's finished. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Because if the new law would have terminated all those uh, provisions, well done. Yes, Madam Shetak,
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Prof. Good afternoon, everyone.
welcome.
So I apologize for coming in late, but I figured you're talking about savings provisions and trying to get examples.
Okay.
So coincidentally, my colleague read from the Penal Code. I will be reading from the Administration of Criminal Justice Law of Plateau State.
Okay.
So we have a savings provision under Section 490 of that law. It says nothing in this law. Okay, the side note says saving as to other forms and procedure. Nothing in this law shall affect the use or validity of any form in respect of a procedure or an offense specified under the provisions of a law or the validity of any other procedure provided by any other law. That's subsection 1. 2, subsection 2 says nothing in this law shall affect the validity of any investigation, prosecution, charge, or proceedings initiated or commenced under the Penal Code or any other law before the coming into force of this law.
Excellent. Excellent. That's good. Because you can create chaos if you don't put that clause. Very good. Very good. Okay. Nandum, your hand is still up. You want to ask a question?
Sorry, it was an error. I should have removed it when after I finished speaking.
Okay, okay. All right, so we have all seen it. So what's the assignment for this week is picking the same widowhood bill, widowhood leave bill, draft the final provisions of that law. Draft the final provision. Remember, those of you in Nigeria, the citation is the final part, short title for federal laws. I don't know about the states. For federal laws, citation or short title, this act may be cited, this bill may be cited as, then you write the short title. That's usually the last portion of the final provision, but it differs according to jurisdiction. Yes, Madam Shetter, your hand is up. Yes, your hand is up.
Yes, sir. I was going to say, for us, that short title is usually at the beginning. It's at the preliminary stages.
Okay.
This law may be cited as. So I just wanted to give an example.
Okay.
Maybe it will serve as a comparative example. So for us, it forms one of the very first parts of the law after the heading.
Even in Lesotho, they have the same thing. They merge commencement and short title.
Exactly. Ours says citation and commencement. So it's usually section 1 of our laws.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it says this law may be cited as the Plateau State Administration of Criminal Justice Law 2018 and shall come into operation on the day of .
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's exactly the same thing in Lesotho here.
Yeah, so I just needed us all to have an idea of what applies in other climes.
Wow, that's serious. You may, if you trace, for example, why Lesotho practices like that, the man that was Solicitor General of Lesotho before independence, is an Australian man. And so he brought the Australian style of the common law drafting.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you check very well in Plateau State, if you go
Yes.
through your history,
Mm.
person that may have served in Plateau State as
Yeah.
then colonial times may
Yeah.
be from Australia.
Okay.
Yes,
Noted.
I'm surprised.
Yes.
When I checked the here in Lesotho, the man was an Australian. He was their Solicitor General. He was their drafter. So all the Australian style of drafting. That's so all these influences, even within the common law uh, or Commonwealth, they have different in-house styles. I told you in Nigeria, even within Nigeria, Lagos State interpretation comes as part of preliminary provisions. But in the federal government and National Assembly, definitions are part of final provisions.
Yes, it's the same here. Interpretation usually comes as part of the preliminary provisions.
Yes. Now, to show that you are an expert, to show that you really know legislative drafting, that is the general rule. The exception is when you are dealing with technical legislation, legislation that involves a lot of professional jargon, like building, engineering legislation, then definitions have to come first so that the reader is acquainted with the professional jargons before reading the law itself. So that's
Okay,
the
sir. So let me. We've had this discussion before in this class, but I think it was with Ebenezer. He said the same thing, and I was like, okay, how do you now decide what is technical to the next person? Someone who is not a lawyer, of course, the terms contained in a legislation would seem like jargons to him. And you're not restricting that legislation to him alone. Any other person might want to. So it would seem right to just put it there for anyone who is not an expertise in such an area to first encounter the interpretation before law generally. So for me, I would think that generally it should be at the beginning, but then it's not in my power to do so. But if I am to suggest personally, I would go with it being no matter what it is, let the interpretation come at the beginning. You know that it is key. That is why you even have it at all, whether at the end or at the beginning. But then, if the rationale is for one to encounter the interpretation before you go into the body, so that you have an explanation of the technical terms contained therein, then I think it should be at the beginning.
okay. So in law we always have general rules, then we have exceptions. So the general rule. Now, Nigeria has what we call, you may not know, 1972 is a law called Professional Bodies Act. That is the list of professional bodies recognized in Nigeria. So that can give you a guide. The legal profession, medical profession. So not everybody can claim that they are professionals, only those bodies. And they were listed for the purposes of there's something they listed them for regulation. Now, that should give you a guide when you are drafting any law on the medical profession. So that's a professional body. They have they are professional jargons. So ideally, the definition should come first. For legal profession, which is also a profession, the jargons should come, the definition should come first. So you have a guide. Not every law is a professional legislation. Not every law. So that's
This
but
is good. Thank you
in
so much.
Lagos States, whether professional or not, their own general rule is that the definitions come first.
Exactly. So I would go with them any day. But with this explanation and the elicitation of the Professional Bodies Act, maybe I'll take a look at it and then we'll toe that path. But personally, that's the way I feel.
No, even Thornton, the authority on drafting, said, page 128, fourth edition, every legislative drafting office has to create its own style manual. It's a
So,
requirement. In-house, you have to come up with, this is the structure of our legislation. This is how we want it to be. Not everybody, every lawyer in that office drafting the way they want.
yes.
In Lesotho, we had that problem, or we encountered the styles of legislation. So, for example, recently the Law Reform Commission Act is undergoing amendment. Now, a drafter who is not skilled went and imported or created a position of Law Revision Commissioner as a staff of the commission. The person went and saw, before 1993, when law reform was established by Act of Parliament, he saw that there was something called Law Revision Commissioner. Now he just put it inside their law, forgetting that the 1993 Act created the governing board is called Board of Commissioners. Now you're saying a staff shall be called Law Revision Commissioner. You create confusion because the use of word commissioner, you have a commissioner in law reform context is higher, is a member of the board. It cannot be at the same time a staff. So that use of word. So people who don't know the technicalities of legislative drafting, they can mess up the style of drafting in any jurisdiction. That is why every drafting office has to create their own in-house style. So this is the format of legislation. Definitions will be part of preliminary. So even when you leave that office, that handbook, that manual is there for new staff to comply with, be drafting anyhow.
Okay, Prof. Noted. Thank you so much.
Well done. Okay, so Madam Ita Beleng has gone. For those who don't know, Madam Ita Beleng is the Secretary of Law Society of Lesotho. They are the equivalent of the professional body regulating lawyers here in Lesotho. So on that note, I've shared the assignment for this week on the platform, Still the Widowhood Leave Bill. The reason is that bill was not well drafted. So your task is to make addition to that bill. So you're going to add final provisions. Think of, just imagine how if the bill was creating a transition, how would you draft it? If it was saving some things in the Labor Act, just imagine, come up with hypothetical circumstances and add it. If it is repealing any law, you also add it. Create the circumstance, add final provisions to the widowhood leave bill. And remember to amend your arrangement of clauses, which is like the table of contents. So that's the assignment for this week. Please, everybody, the more you try these things, apart from reading what others have drafted, the more you try them, the better you become at drafting. So on that note, we'll call it a day for today, except there are questions to ask. Any question? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? All right. In the absence of any other questions, the assignment is on the platforms. Feel free to spend the weekend sometime, not the whole weekend, looking at the assignment. All right. So we call it a day. We see again on Monday. Monday we commence, let me see, week 9. So it's a 12-week program, or yes, 12-week program. Week 9, what's the topic? Let me look at it. So we are finished with the preliminary, principal, miscellaneous, and final provisions. So now we can face, I think it's law reform. Law reform is a skill that it has many activities under law reform. Consolidation of law, codification. All these are technical terms. If you master them, you can get a contract as a consultant to help them, any country or any state, with reform of their law. As I speak to you, Zamfara State is undergoing reform. The Attorney General invited us to help. So week 9, let me see what we have. Week 9 is, we are going into executive orders. Executive orders. This is also a form of legislation that you draft. Executive orders are made by the president or the governor, an executive official, not the legislature. So the structure of drafting it is different. So next week, that is what we'll deal with. All right. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you,
Oscar,
sir.
please
Yes, sir.
check your WhatsApp. There's an urgent message. Oscar. All right. Mm, bye.
Thank you.